Hello, I'm Fleur and I'm a member of the Board of Editors of the American Journal of International Law, or AJIL. I'm also co-creator with Karen Knopp and Adrian Wing of AJIL Bookmarked, a short video series in which AJIL editorial board members delve into the journal's back catalogue to bookmark articles for rereading. In this video, I'm going to talk about a piece called Computation of Time in International Law by Francis Dayack, published in AJIL Volume 20 in 1926. In this article, Dayack worries about the uncertainty surrounding international legal understandings of time. What does a year, month, or day mean in international law, he asks, explaining that these have been given multiple meanings in practice. How is the moment when treaties go into effect to be determined, he frets. He recognises that time is experienced differently by different people, and he's focused especially on the risks that this divergence poses in wartime. Nonetheless, he expresses confidence that this can all be sorted out at the League of Nations. The following quote conveys the crux of Dayack's argument. By a serious effort for the codification of international law, which is now being made by the League of Nations, it should be considered essential to create fixed rules for computation of time to avoid all possible ambiguity or misunderstanding. This article would not be written today. It is very much of its moment. So let's briefly revisit that moment, the year 1926. It was a year of political rupture. Dictators seized power in Greece and Portugal. Monarchs, who would turn out to be their country's last, took the throne in Iran and Vietnam. A general strike brought Britain to a halt. Ford Motor Company introduced a 40-hour week. Established institutions were entering end-of-life stages, or so it seemed. The League of Nations Slavery Convention demanded an end to slavery. Protesters were killed in front of Tiananmen Gate, calling for an end to unequal treaties by which China was bound. Profound developments in science and technology took place that year too. India introduced motorised buses, a mechanical television system was demonstrated, and the first liquid fuel rocket was launched. Music was changing tempo too. Louis Armstrong had great success with his recording of Heebie-Jeebies, while Shostakovich premiered his Symphony No. 1 in Leningrad. And thinking and talking about time was something of a cultural obsession. In 1922, Albert Einstein publicly debated the meaning of time with the French philosopher Henri Bergson. Time could be measured flowing at different rates and in different orders, Einstein explained, each of which was as real as the other. Bergson insisted that time was the same for all beings and all things. In 1926, this debate was still very much raging. Little wonder then that Dayack was preoccupied by the fact that there were, quote, no rules in international law determining computation of time. There are two things that give this piece salience today. First, it prefigures the growing interest that contemporary scholars are showing in how international law both shapes and is shaped by time. Some recent writings claim to be overthrowing traditional understandings of time as linear and universal. However, Dayack's article shows that international legal scholars of the 1920s already viewed time as manifold and contentious. In other words, they had a good grasp of what we now call temporal politics, and they were actively, anxiously engaged in that politics. Second, Dayack's article offers an interesting take on computation for work ongoing today in international law and technology. Remember that up until the 1920s, the word computers referred to human clerks, often women, that performed mathematical calculations. Then in the 1930s, the mathematical foundations of modern computer science were established, and computation came to be associated more with automation. Dayack's article sits right at the junction of computation being thought of as a fully human practice and it becoming more identified with human-machine interaction. And he appreciates the significance of that shift. He writes that the new technical equipment of war, the radio, telephone and telegraph, demands that international lawyers reassess what we think of as just. So Dayak's 1926 article isn't just a time capsule of interwar flux. It also offers a prehistory of debates ongoing in international law right now about time, technology, and the politics of sense and perspective. I hope that you enjoyed this look back into the AJIL archive and that you are inspired to bookmark your own discoveries from the journal's pages.